Call me Louis. This is my sport. Louis Sport.
Welcome back. Now, today is Thursday. Time for some dope throwback videos. Now, recently during the time when I wasn't posting any videos on my channel, I took some time to take a look at statistics and find out what is it that people were searching for on my channel. One of the things that people were looking for was PLO Lumumba's speech that shocked Africa, and I was like, that's very interesting. So I tried to figure out which was the most spectacular speech that PLO Lumumba gave that really shocked Africans, and if West South Africans are considered Africans, then this could be the speech that really shocked Africans. So take a look at this speech.
Times arrogant British. Why arrogant? The empire over which the sun. They colonized Nigeria, they colonized Ghana. It was a great son of this land, the Osagyefo, Kwame Nkrumah, who on the eve of independence and on the day of independence reminded Africans on the 6th day of March 1957 that the independence of Ghana meant nothing if the rest of Africa was not free. Independence from the United Kingdom, they gave us constitution, they called them the Westminster Model Constitution. Remember, we are in Africa, but our constitutions, whether in Ghana or in Nigeria or in Uganda or in Malawi or in Zambia or Kenya or Tanzania, are referred to as Westminster Model Constitution. British bureaucrats sitting at the Whitehall in London and giving us constitution. Go ye Africans and try it out. Africa became a laboratory for the ideas of European bureaucrats. That is the Africa that you are asking me, how does it work? An Africa for which once we had regained our independence, they created for us, and that commonwealth is a commonwealth of independent and equal states, they tell us. But the Queen is the head until the second coming of Christ. That commonwealth which the United States of America, which was a former colony of the United Kingdom, cannot get into and is not a member of because she's too powerful to be superintended by a former colonizer. That is the Africa that we are grappling with. There is also another Africa. An Africa where Belgium, little Belgium, controls the Democratic Republic of Congo, controls Rwanda and Burundi. That is the Africa that we are talking about. Can she be great? Can she be made to work? Oh, the post-colonial African state was designed to fail. This is a question that sometimes we are too afraid to ask. There is also another Africa which, and recently as 1980, when I was a high school student, had not even regained our independence. Zimbabwe, called Rhodesia at that time. And then there is another Africa. Another Africa which in 1994, when I had graduated and was teaching and working, is when the Europeans recognized that they are equals in apartheid South Africa. Otherwise, in 1948, the Europeans in that country, the Boers and the British, took the view that Africans were children of a lesser God, that we were only fit to be hewers of wood and drawers of water. That is how they held until 1994. But as I speak today now, 80% of the land in South Africa is still in the hands of the whites. And they want to be compensated. They took it for free, but they want to be compensated. They had no passports and visas when they came, but they want to be compensated. They are saying the same thing in Zimbabwe. They want to be compensated. They want to be compensated in Namibia. They want to be compensated. That is the Africa that we are gathered here today to talk about. That Africa is a troubled Africa. Is an Africa which, if you permit me, I want to tell you, you paint, and some of these things are homegrown, some of them are engineered from outside, because poverty is a multi-billion-dollar industry. You know, sometimes when I listen to Kwame Nkrumah or read some of his works, I say to myself, his other human failings notwithstanding, he had the foresight of a Jewish prophet. Because as early as 1961 in Casablanca, Morocco, he told the leaders of the time that if Africa was to work, Africa had to unite. But fellow Africans and friends of goodwill, even as early as that time, Europe was beginning to divide Africa. They had their own group. They had sponsored Cote d'Ivoire's Félix Houphouët-Boigny to argue against the Osagie for Kwame Nkrumah. But Nkrumah did not stop there. He had other compatriots who thought like he did. Patrice Emery Lumumba did not go to anybody's university, but he was clear that Africa must write her own story. Julius Kambarage Nyerere, so that when Africa met on the 24th and 25th days of May 1963 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, the message was one and clear that if Africa was to work, Africa had to work as one unit. Kwame reminded the audience, let us unite today. Let us come out of Addis Ababa with one country. Let us come out of Addis Ababa with one army. Let us come out of Addis Ababa with one currency. Let us come out of Addis Ababa with a common foreign policy. Because if we don't, we will each get used to our little sovereignties. Central African Republic will become used to the little sovereignty. Rwanda, Swaziland, Burundi, and all the other countries, and it will become difficult to unite us. But who listened to Kwame on that day? While he wanted the United States of Africa, we ended up with the Organization of African Unity, a loose alliance of heads of states. But you and me know that at that time the neo-colonial project had started working. I'm saying this because you are asking me to talk about how we can make Africa work. Before we talk about how to make her work, we must understand how she is. This is a diagnostic process. We are trying to understand the maladies that afflict her, because we must understand the etiology of these maladies in order to prescribe the right medication. So that the neo-colonial project was one that was meant to ensure that we appear to be independent. As somebody once said it in a most eloquent way, Africans were given the crown, but the jewels were retained. So in 1960, Those who had started speaking about Africa and how to make Africa great were being eliminated one by one. In Congo, in 1961, barely 9 months after Congo had regained her independence, Patrice Emery Lumumba was dead. In Togo, barely 1 year after independence, Sylvanus Olympio was dead. And if they were not dead, they were removed. Here in Ghana, the Osagie for Kwame Nkrumah was removed. In Nigeria, Nnamdi Azikiwe was removed with Tafawa Balewa and the Sultan of Sokoto, Sir Ahmadu Bello. In Mali, Modibo Keita was gone. And if you go to all the countries, Amadou Ahidjo was gone. David Dako was gone. Coup d'etats. That is the Africa that you are asking me to say, how will it work? It was never at ease. Destabilization after destabilization. That is the Africa. But the beauty of it that amidst all these Africans, whether they are in the political class or in the academy or in different sectors, even when they are engaged in activities that appear to undermine Africa, they have always been conscious of the fact that this continent needs to move in some useful direction.
Alright guys, so now that you've seen what Professor Pierre Lumumba had to say about land reclamation, white Africans in South Africa, and so much so, let me show you guys the comments that you guys left on the recent video that I posted on Pierre Lumumba about 3 to 4 days ago. The topic of the video was Pierre Lumumba congratulating the new Malawian president and his advice to the youths. Alright, so the first comment was from Naziem Isaacs. Naziem Isaacs says it's worth watching. Actually, the video was worth watching, so if you haven't seen it, please take your time and look at it. Then the other comment was from Rose M, who says, "Hi there, my brother. I'm in the diaspora and I wanted to know, is there anybody speaking on the fact that South Africa is allowing Bill Gates in there today and that they are testing South African people with the vaccine at Oxford University? Is anybody speaking on that today? It is said that everyone is being very quiet about it. What is the reason for the silence from the USA?" Okay, this is the same question that I was asking. Why are there quite a number of people who are really silent on the fact that there are vaccine tests that are currently going on within South Africa? So the final comment is from Akbar Khan, who says, "Africans, please listen to this great man. He is a real patriotic. Please, youth of Africa, take charge of this continent. All present African leaders, please make the transition and hand over the management to the youth who possess the professional skill to run Africa. Make Africa the greatest continent in the world, which God has blessed you with your vast natural resources." What a great motivation speech by Pierre Lumumba. Alright guys, so those are some of the comments that you guys left on the video I shared recently. So thanks for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, comment if you have anything to say, and share. Also subscribe to this channel if you're new and want more videos like this. Peace out. Dude, with this, I think today I made the worst video. Oh yeah? You think so? Louis, let's go. Let me correct this. We'll make another one later. Okay then, if you say so. Let's go man, it's getting late. Shit, my mic's still on.